And we are live. Hello, I am Adam. This is the Northern Outpost debrief. Big news today. Big news. I guess we just get right into it, shall we? I mean, I think y'all know what I'm talking about. The HasLab G.I. Joe classified Dragonfly launched. Just a very quick reminder. eCollectibles.ca is currently taking pre-orders for the Arctic Bat. I say pre-orders, but if you wait much longer, they will be shipping. So it's a very, very short window for the pre-order. I would say if you're thinking about getting the Arctic Bat and you haven't already, thinking that you could sort of wait, don't, because they are going to be in stock very, very soon. Other than the Arctic Bat, of course, Serpentor is in stock. Tiger Force Duke and Ram is in stock if you didn't get that through Toys R Us. And some other exclusives as well, with the next wave coming very, very soon as well. To the best of my knowledge, I'm hearing July. We are June, so before you know it, the HasLab pre-order window is going to close and the next wave of figures is going to ship. It's like crazy days for G.I. Joe classified collectors at the moment. Yeah, there we are. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time today, Hasbro launched their latest Kickstarter, which is, of course, the Dragonfly. Full disclosure, I knew this was coming. I was privy to this information a while ago, through a good friend, a reliable source of information. I knew this was coming. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know details. I didn't know pricing. I didn't know stretch goals. I knew it was the Dragonfly with Wild Bill. That was what I knew. And I was very pleasantly surprised by the Dragonfly, what they did with Wild Bill. I was extremely surprised by the price, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we'll get into that. First, I'm going to check in with the chat here. I see that there's some comments coming in. Paints Toy Sample says, on so early. Yes, that is because I don't normally do Mondays, because Mondays and I gotta get kids to bed. So I'm doing this now before I have to put them to bed. So it's going to be a short-ish video today. We're going to cut it at an hour maximum. So Kelly Chase says, Cobra, la 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 la. I really hope we get Cobra La figures. I know I'm not in the majority with that, but look, they're cool looking figures. AI Collectibles is hanging out. Christian McKinnon is here as well. Paints Toy Samples ordered a Dragonfly. I teased him for only ordering one, but I know that he is ordering a ton of stuff right now on pre-orders between Armies of Ashmore, Defenders of Eden, Mythic Legion stuff, G.I. Joe stuff, on and on and on. I was saying this yesterday on the video, that there's just so much stuff that's coming up right now. And I mentioned that I knew that this was coming. Part of the reason that I like to sort of get some of this information early is because I can kind of plan out how I'm going to buy and what I'm going to buy. And every once in a while, I have information that isn't sort of public knowledge. And somebody's like, oh, why didn't you order this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just, I'm maybe just not that into it. And oftentimes it's not that I'm not into something. It's that I'm into something more that's coming too soon after. And I will not have the budget for both. So AI says the product is finally caught up to the demand. I think we're certainly getting there. And I think Hasbro is doing sort of what they can to get to a point where pre-orders and shipments are within days or weeks or a month or two, rather than you know, have a pre-order that's sort of feels like it's forever, you know. And I commend them for that, because it's you know, that's not hard. I mean, they're playing catch up. I just wish that there was a little bit more, um, a little bit more, not warning. Warning is the wrong word, but like a little bit more sort of notice if an ETA changes. I try to prepay for everything sort of up front, get that money down. You know, if it my um my buying pattern is basically like, if I can afford it now, I order it. And if I can't afford it now, there's literally no reason to think that in the future I could. So I prefer to kind of do a prepay thing. And then it's done. And then when the product is ready to ship, it's like Christmas, you know. I don't have the immediate guilt of like emptying a bank account to pay for stuff. So that's that. Let's jump right in. So we got the flag, we got the Dragonfly, HasLab. I don't even know why flag. People are talking about the flag. People are still banging on about the flag, but so this kicked us off with the launch. You know, they had a video, pre-recorded video, which I'm not going to replay because it's 4 minutes long and it wouldn't come through. As of right now, and I didn't refresh this live, I refreshed this before I started. So as of right now, we're at 8,015 backers of the 10,000 required to fund this. So I don't know what number the hiss was at after you know, the same amount of time. I think it was pretty dang close, and I will take a look at that. Brian Brink has the graph that I'm going to pull from the Geek Dad Life website in a moment, and we'll look at sort of how this thing tracked today, at least. But you know, for all intents and purposes, it's looking pretty good. I mean, we're less than 2,000 away from backing, with less than a day, you know, gone on the HasLab. So I think it bodes well for this clearing. I mean, the 10,000 is like, it's virtually guaranteed. It's more, you know, how many of the stretch goals it's going to get through. Like I said, my first impression when they played that video was like, this thing looks awesome. And then they said the price, and I was like, this is, so I anticipated it would be the same price as the Hiss, if not more. So I was thinking, you know, the Hiss was $299. I was looking at this, knowing what it was going to be, thinking we might get $329 or $349, just with, you know, prices going up on things and so on and so forth. So in the video when they said $274.99, I was like, wait, is that right? And then I was sort of like, wait, what are we not going to get in here? Like, it didn't seem right. When I first heard it, it seemed oddly low. I mean, it's objectively, it is a decent amount of money. So it's not, you know, they're not giving these things away. But we got a bunch of photos, and I will come back to these photos because these don't sort of come up as well on the shared screen there. I'm going to scroll through. I'm going to quickly kind of go through some of the details. I am going to talk a little bit about what I think it might hit numbers wise. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I speculate the figures may be, the unlock figures. And then if you guys have any questions or comments, I'll go over those, and then we'll call it an evening. I just wanted to get a video out there with sort of my thoughts, my opinions, before sort of anything else sort of came out. I think the excitement is still here, sort of day one, and I wanted to get ahead of the curve a little bit. just because, not for any reason other than I'm really excited about this. So there is the full offering. So we get the Dragonfly, obviously, which looks absolutely stunning. I had sort of thought we would just get a plain green Dragonfly, but the black kind of, it's not a stripe, but sort of the black all along the top looks really, really good. The two yellow fins, on the tail there looks stunning. The fact that they added more deco to the rotor blades, I think looks really, really good. And then the loadout. So you get plenty of loadout there. So swappable stuff. I like that they included kind of all the things that the original had and more. So we got, the heavy machine gun. We got the tow hook, or the not a tow hook. I guess you're not towing anything. The hook with the winch, missiles. But then we got the little kind of rocket launcher things, chips and salsa, which I think is a cool little touch, which is going to have, chips and salsa written on them, as a paint app, as deco. And like I said, Wild Bill looks absolutely fantastic. Before this thing went live, I was really hoping it would come with a flight stand, and they didn't disappoint. The flight stand, oh, and there you go, Facebook user. Sorry, I'll bring that comment up. The Facebook user said the stand is an interesting design. Facebook user, if you want to keep commenting, hit streamyard.com/Facebook, and you just have to click a button, and then I'll know who you are. Because as it is, that's how it shows up on my screen. The stand is an interesting design. I agree. I like it though. The Sky Striker, has a base as well, a stand, and it has sort of a ball joint on it, so it can rotate and stuff like that. My Sky Striker, which is right behind me, which you can't see because it's right behind me, just sits in one position, and it's virtually the position that the Dragonfly will be in on that stand. So I kind of appreciate that it's just like fixed, and I appreciate that it's clear as well, so that it looks like it's hovering, more so than the Sky Striker does. Jonathan fixed it. Facebook user was me. All right. Scott, no, you are not a Facebook user. So I can tell the difference. It gets problematic when multiple people are showing up as Facebook user, because then I think one person is saying, different things that may contradict. Ryan MN says this is making the Ghost Rider HasLab look even worse for $350. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, man. Like, I don't think that the Engine of Vengeance was a bad toy. I think it was just priced wrong. I think it was just misguided, and I feel terrible for the marketing guys who have to sort of sell people on that. I think there's an element as well, because it was just a car. I think there was a little less excitement, sadly. If you're a Robbie Reyes fan, you were probably over the moon that they offered that, because you probably didn't think in a million years you would get a Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider HasLab car. But I also think that choice wasn't a great choice. I think the Dragonfly is a great choice. I think it is a perfect sort of shelf display, because it's long, but it's fairly narrow. So most people's shelves will be able to fit this. When people are talking about Sky Strikers, I even have, the 3 3/4 inch one, and it's kind of too wide for most shelves. So you have to find a shelf that it works on. The Dragonfly is long, as I said, but it's nice and narrow. So I think you're going to be able to get it on a shelf. And the fact that we have the stand to sort of lift it up, I'm going to sort of display classified figures on that same shelf, and they can still kind of fit in and around the display base without really affecting how much shelf space I have for my classified collection. So I think it's a no-brainer. to include the stand for any, flying vehicle. And I'm very, very happy that they did in this case. Jonathan says there's also a license fee for Marvel stuff versus GI Joe stuff, which is in-house. Absolutely. Does that make up for $75 in terms of difference in price? I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of one of those things where I don't think that $75 accounts for a licensing fee. I think there's probably, more to it than that. I don't think the math is quite that simple. But and Scott says Reyes is a tough sell as Ghost Rider too, in my opinion. He's no Dan Ketch. Yes. That's the thing, right? Like, there's, how many Ghost Riders came before Reyes? 4, I think. And there was a lot of people that were kind of saying, like, as stretch goals, they should have included, other versions of Ghost Rider. You could start with the OG on a horse, and then do the multiple motorcycles. Like, doing a Ghost Rider Kickstarter and doing the car just didn't seem to land with nearly enough people. There were lots of people that were pretty hyped on the Engine of Vengeance, and I feel bad for them, but it is what it is. Michael says the team killed it today. I agree, and this is it's a great offer. Now we need to stand for the Trouble Bubbles. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that was kind of missed, right? Like, I think the Trouble Bubbles should come with a stand and could come with a stand. And it could be something very, very simple. It could be fixed, right? Like, it doesn't have to be an adjustable stand. It could be fixed where you just, you can just elevate it above your display shelf. But we'll see. Maybe somebody will do one in aftermarket. I am certain that as soon as the Trouble Bubble arrives on our shelves, if somebody hasn't already, we'll get like a 3D printed STL file, so that we can order them or print them ourselves if you have a 3D printer, which I do not. We also don't know what the extras were in that HasLab. If the rumor was a large Blackheart figure, that might have been part of the extra cost. Yeah, I mean, they factor the figures into the overall cost as well, and then they kind of assume that they will get unlocked. It's dangerous, right? There's a balance there, and they just didn't strike the right balance, is really what it comes down to. So Jeff Morse is hanging out. What's going on, Jeff? Kelly says there's also a trucker Ghost Rider with a flaming big rig. There's also the prehistoric one that rides a mammoth. Like, there's tons of good ones. Facebook user says, "Hey Adam, any guesses or rumors for the tier figures?" I haven't heard any rumors. I've been starting rumors, and we'll get to those shortly. Let's quickly sort of get through a few more of these pictures. Like I said, I think the loadout is fantastic. I think what you get in the base offering is absolutely awesome. The fact that they where is it? I want to try to find a good picture of it. So the rotors work, but they don't, they don't have a button like the vintage one did. That was my only kind of nitpick complaint. But honestly, if that's my nitpick, then it's really not that big of a deal. Couple pictures that I wanted to show, and I missed, a good one, but that one's okay, but it's not as good as what I sort of wanted. This here, so when we look at this one here, they did this right, and they kind of missed this with the Sky Striker. So with the blast effects on the Sky Striker, they kind of plug it in the missiles, but they don't. But the missiles are still on the plane, which is, it's fine. But I like what they did here. They made them a little bit more dynamic. So they plug into the missile, but they also plug onto, like, they're also able to be ported onto the Dragonfly itself. So it doesn't look like, so you can make it look like the missile has sort of launched, right? I think that is a step up from what they did with the Sky Striker. I think they took a bunch of things that they did with the Sky Striker and made them better. Like I said, I think the stand as a fixed stand makes more sense because most people aren't going to monkey around with it. It's less parts, so it's probably less expensive to do it this way. The fact that it's clear is a plus for me. The rockets and missiles having the sort of blast effect coming out and being able to sort of attach as though they've already launched is perfect, awesome. I think there's enough small updates to the design as well to make this feel a little bit more modern than the vintage one. So I'm hyped, man. Like I'm really excited about this. I was excited about it before I saw it, and now that I've seen it, I'm even more excited. Like I said, one other picture that I want to bring up before we get into sort of speculating what the tiers might be, how many we might see sort of when this thing clears. So this was something that I don't even think that they mentioned. So this is, I'm only showing this picture because it'll make sense when I show the next one. So they didn't even mention this, but it's in the description and a lot of people didn't notice it. I think a lot of people just kind of saw what was in the picture, saw what was in the video, and they were just pumped and they backed it and away you go. I spent far too long looking at this thing today, and I saw this picture. Decals included. Let me see how this is gonna look if I do it this way. That looks a little bit better. There we go. So there is a decal sheet that comes with this that we haven't actually seen the decal sheet, and there's just this picture that references it. It just says, like I said, down here it just says decals included at the bottom of the picture there, but you get that sort of Tiger Force looking set of teeth and the eyes. Now, is that the entirety of the decal set, or is that, one of the decals on the decal set? And what else are we going to get? The reason that I find that to be a really, really cool thing is that for anybody that's buying multiples, like me, you can personalize them a little bit. You can have dragonflies that don't all look the same, and as much as it's a military thing and it's uniform, it's also GI Joe, and you kind of get the vibe that they would be a little bit different, right? That Wild Bill's dragonfly might look a little bit different than sort of the team's dragonfly or whatever, I guess. But anyway, like I said, it's listed on the sort of run through of all the stuff that you get. So if you scroll through the whole thing, towards the bottom, it's the list of HasLab feature innovations, and then it lists elaborately detailed cockpit, detachable gull wing canopy, multiple customizable armaments, so on and so forth. And then the last thing, sticker sheet. Personalize your assault copter fleet with consumer applied labels for customization. Like I said, the only visual reference that we get for that is this, where it says decals included. No sticker sheet, no decal sheet anywhere. So it'll be interesting to see, what we get when we get it, I guess. All right, jumping back over to the unlock tiers. And again, I'm going to see if I can do this because I should have done this beforehand. Nah, you know what? Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? I'll do it because why not? Bear with me for a sec. Wildly unprepared, as usual, if you've watched my videos before. Let me just make sure that I get these sort of in the order that I want them. They kind of just look better like this too, so let's do this. So at 13,000 orders, we get Night Force Ripcord unlocked. And before we get into the ones that I speculate, I'm just going to quickly jump into the chat and see what you guys are all talking about. Let's see. So Facebook user said, any guesses or rumors for the tier figures? We will go over that. I'll just read these comments first, and then I'll come back around to that one. Ryan, I'm glad they didn't do a classic ripcord in the HasLab project. Hopefully we'll see him in a retail line. Yes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't, you know, I understand that there will be people that will be upset that sort of any figure that's in here is effectively behind a paywall of sorts. Um, it's certainly one of those things where, you know, not everybody wants to spend this much, let alone can spend this much. Maybe you don't have space. Maybe your favorite character is Wild Bill, and I could understand why you're not really that pumped on the fact that Wild Bill is going to be a little harder to get and a little more expensive to get. Um, it- it- but what I mean, you got to realize too, though, that like if you wanted keel haul, you had to get a USS Flag back in the day. So there's always been, you know, vehicle drivers and stuff like that, that were harder to get. There was always mailaways that were harder to get. There was always things that were harder to get. So the idea that they shouldn't exist to me is a little bit of a stretch, because they always have and they always will. But I definitely sympathize with people, like I said, that you know, aren't all in on the line, or you know, whether that's by preference or whether that's by circumstances, whatever. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Michael says this is going to fund by tomorrow. So crazy. I mean, it's 6:30 p.m. my local time. I'm pretty sure this is gonna fund before I go to sleep tonight. Um, Jonathan, imagine if the connection point to the missile blast effect had a light going through it to light up the missile trail. That would have been cool. That might have been a little too much engineering, though. Just a bit. I mean, the price point as it is, like, if it was $25 more, like if it hit that $299 and had that, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Kevin is Facebook user, at least one of the Facebook users. AI says it's over 8,000 now. I'll be surprised if it doesn't fund before midnight. Yeah, exactly. But different people's midnight is different. I mean, it's 9:30 on the East Coast. Um, I think it hits 10. Like I said, I think it hits 10 before I go. Before I hit the pillow, I think it hits 10. And then it's just a matter of, you know, how long before we get this guy, before we get the other ones. Tristan said he's going to hit 10 by the morning for sure. I mean, I can't guarantee it because I've already ordered mine. I can't affect it anymore. But Scott said, now I have to get 2. I mean, I got 2. Oh, Kelly, add some Knights of the North decals. Oh, now we're going to have to print smaller Knights of the North decals, because that is a fantastic idea. And if you don't know what the Knights of the North is, the Knights of the North is a Canadian Mythic Legions fan group, and this is the logo, the sigil. It's a moose, and it would look awesome on the side of the Dragonfly. Good call, Kelly. I'm definitely gonna see if that can happen. Michael says, man, it's so hard to remain disciplined. This project is so cool, but it'll be a pass for me due to space, and it's not my main line to collect. Fair enough, and that's the thing. You know, I say this all the time, and I get really hyped on these things because of the things that I'm buying, right? Because I'm the face, and I get to say what I like and what I'm buying. You're always, at least out of my mouth, hearing about the things that I'm buying. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's really cool that I'm not buying. My motto for toy collecting is you can't have all the things. So I totally get it. I totally understand. AI says, I hope we get Doc as one. I hope we do too. And let's get into that. So at 13,000, we, and AI, you and I talked about Doc too. And well, we'll get there. So at 13,000, we get Night Force Ripcord. Ripcord is one of my absolute favorite figures from the vintage line, the camouflage version. He didn't exist in Night Force until the Sky Striker. So when they did that Sky Striker for HasLab, they did a Night Force Ripcord. So I think this was like, as much as it's a surprise, I think a lot of people were like, yeah, that makes sense. Like we got this guy in the O-ring figures, and now we're getting him in the classified series, and I'm here for it. I'm all about it. Even if they do another Ripcord, the cool thing about this is that you could do a head swap and just have another paratrooper. Or no, he's a Halo jumper, I think. So I don't know the terminology. It's because it's not important when you're playing with your toys. The terminology isn't that important. Then after Ripcord, at 16,000, we get the next unlock. Now, because I'm a nerd and I just spend time looking at these things, I counted the number of X's that are here, and I just realized that I counted it wrong, which sucks because there goes my theory. Now I got to count the other one too to see if I counted that one wrong as well. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17. No, I counted that one right. I counted 17 X's right on this one. But I didn't change my screen. So I counted this one to have 12 X's, and now I'm seeing 13. That kind of changes things. But anyway, I can still speculate because it's still fun to speculate. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Doc. And this is why. I'm right there with you, AI. If we get Doc, I hope he comes with a stretcher that clips onto the skyhook. So they mention in the description that this is like it's like an evac vehicle, and I think Doc with a stretcher that can clip onto that hook would be absolutely awesome. And I think he still fits. So when I looked at the number of X's and counted them, like I said, thinking that they were 12, now it's 13. Is that right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. Shoot, now I got to go back to the drawing board. But in my brain, when I counted 12, I looked up, figures that I thought might work. And I came up with Carl Doc Greer, which is 12 letters. Now I'm hoping he has an initial in there that maybe they'll include the initial. So it could still be Doc. I'm going to still say that I think it could be Doc. Because yeah, I think getting him with a stretcher that clips on so that it's like a medivac type scenario would be really, really cool. Then at the next goal at the 19,000, we get 17. When I count up the X's here for the name, we get 17. And so for that one, I came up with a few, but now I'm second guessing myself for those ones as well because they were based on 12 and the 17. But anyways, the ones that I came up with for 17 were Rafael Zap Melendez. So Zap, Jody Shooter Craig, Shooter. So like a later version of, a later character, more of like a comic book inspired one. And then the one that I think might be the most likely, just based on the fact that, we're getting the Night Force Ripcord, Brent Hit and Run Scott. So Hit and Run, I think you could do like the European Tiger Force one. You could do a Night Force one. You could do whatever you want. Is basically what I'm saying. Shooter would be a fun one because that adds, a female figure into the mix as well. So I could see that. Jonathan. Yeah. Carl W. Greer. So if they include the W, I think it could still be Doc. But we'll see. Now but like I said, now I got to go back and see if there's another one that works better. Christian, Lenny mentioned a harness on figures. Interesting. I totally missed that. I totally missed that. Facebook user, I wonder if they'll do a female doc. I'm hopeful for OG version, maybe a generic female pilot or co-pilot. Well, what was Doc's name? Well, now I can look. Why don't I look that up? I can use that. Or does somebody want to look that up for me while I'm, because it'll take me forever to look it up, and it'll be super boring to just sit there while I look it up. It was Doc's niece or something like that that took over the mantle of Doc, but I can't remember what her name was. Jonathan says, whatever regular figure is getting that helmet and mask, I am getting for sure. I think you mean this one. We'll just go back to this one because this is the one that we have seen and that we know. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this figure looks absolutely awesome. And you know, you get the helmet, you get the visor. And in another picture, the visor is removed, so it looks like that might be a separate piece. Then we get the goggles, you know, multiple weapons. He gets his parachute. He still gets the mask with the breather hose, and then the breather, like the little breather apparatus, looks like it kind of pegs into the belt. So yeah, I'm super pumped for Ripcord. And then you know the other ones are you know gravy, right? Because the other figures are sort of in addition to, like, the base offering to me is well worth the price of admission, and then everything else is just bonus time for me. Other people feel differently, but whatever. Smiler67 is here. Finally made it. Ditch the family. I think Doc will be cool, but it might be better as a deluxe release with a lot of med gear. Well, I mean, I could also, yeah, I mean, I would like to see that too. Again, I could see there being a scenario in which, well, I mean, here's the other thing, and I was thinking about this, you know, on my drive home. When we got the female gunner with the HISS tank, we didn't just get the female gunner. In that unlock, we got her plus the chin gun and the two additional guns that go up on top of the turret. So we got, you know, a figure and more. I could see there being like some and mores to the unlock tiers. They haven't said that, but I mean, I don't see why we couldn't get that. In the HISS tank, you know, we had the early bird unlock with the engineer, and then the last unlock was that Cobra Commander retro carded. But like I said, the female gunner got a bunch of additional stuff. So I think it's outside of the realm of possibility to think that we might get something like that. So I don't know that Doc would be a deluxe figure, but there might be more accessories that sort of come in that unlock if it is in fact him. Tristan said someone online suggested Bomb Strike as an unlock. I think that'd be cool. I agree. I think that would be really cool. AI says Zap would go great with Grunt. Yep. Ooh, hit and run. Yeah, we'll see. Scott, one has to be airborne, doesn't it? Well, I think that's the thing. I think that was like people, like that's people's first go-to when they think of, you know, figures that should come, well, besides Wild Bill. Airborne was in the original art on the box art, right? So Airborne seems like a good choice. If we go by the X's in the code names, he wouldn't be, because his name is really long, plus Airborne is quite a few letters. So it wouldn't fit in 13 or 17, even with initials removed. So I don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible. I could be, I could be interpreting those X's wrong. I mean, that could just be a placeholder and they might have just put a random number in there. That being said, there's two spots that have those sort of placeholder unlocks. And in one, the 2 unlock placeholders are the same. And in the second set, the ones that I showed, the X's covering the names and the X's covering the specialties are unique. Both, like 12 and 17 for 13, sorry, and 17 for the names. But then the other things that are X'd out also don't have the same number. So, you know, I feel like there's something there. I feel like, I don't think that counting them and I don't think because I think it's Doc that it is. I'm just speculating, right? So, as I said at the beginning, I knew that it was going to be the Dragonfly, but I didn't know what the unlocks were going to be. I didn't know what the price point was going to be. I hadn't seen anything. I just knew that it was going to be a Dragonfly. So I'm speculating. I'm completely speculating from this point on. But I'm really, really pleased with the offering, with what we've got. All right. So that's, my first impressions. That's my predictions for figures. I'm gonna say Doc and a pre-paint of Hit and Run. Although I would love to see Shooter or another female character. I said Zap because he fits. But if I'm being honest, I don't know that they would do Zap. I don't know that they would do like an original figure from the 82 line. Because I think that might just be too much for some people. I think even like an actual normal deco of Hit and Run would be more palatable. And I only say that because he's not an OG figure. It's a lot of people love Hit and Run, but I could see them kind of getting away with that one. But we'll see. Tristan, isn't Shooter rumored for Night Force? I mean, I think we've heard that name, haven't we? Didn't we hear? Wasn't there a name reveal for Shooter, or aren't people talking about Shooter? I feel like it was like in a His Tank leak or something like that. His Tank, the website, not His Tank, the HasLab. Michael says, I switched. I don't think I want to read that. I'll read it first and then. Yeah, Michael, I read your comment and I'm not surprised, but. Tyler, maybe you covered it. Ripcord is awesome, but a paratrooper for a helicopter seems weird. You can't parachute from a helicopter. I think we are getting a co-pilot in an unlocked tier. We could, but I mean, if you look at Sunbow and you look at sort of the comic books, it wasn't always a pilot who was in there, right? Wild Bill is the pilot, so you can put anybody in that gunner spot. I'm leaning towards airborne types of characters and types of people, and I think Doc fits as a medic because, like I said, you could get the stretcher and sort of set it up so that you can do kind of rescue op type thing. But we'll see. I mean, I mean, the thing is, your guess is as good as mine. There's no right answers yet. There will be wrong answers, I think, soon enough. I want to jump back and refresh and sort of see where the numbers are at. So we're going to go back to this page. As I said, we're going to go for an hour. So we've got a few more minutes left here. It was there when we first started. Let's refresh and sort of see where we're at. 8,170. I mean, it's creeping up. It's creeping up. It's getting there. It's slowed down a little bit, I think. But let's take a look. So this is, of course, from geekdadlife.com. Thanks to Brian Brink, who submitted this. He has been tracking this every 30 minutes since the launch. And you can sort of see there that, within the first hour, it did 3,753, which was incredible. And then the curve kind of started to taper off a little bit there. You know, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4. And then it's pretty much been going steady for the last, you know, 5 or 6 hours. And he hasn't updated it, but I mean, we've got a couple hundred over, you know, his last post on here. So the last post was 7,976, and that was after 10 hours. So that's well, that about an hour ago, or is that just about now? He just hasn't updated it. I'm just updating here. All right, so he's updated it again, 8,079. So it's a little bit lower than what the his tank was, which I think is kind of to be expected. And I say that because I think with no early bird unlock, there's still going to be people that are gonna sort of hold out, that are just going to wait a little bit. Now whether they wait, you know, a day or a week or what, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see if that curve sort of continue, like if the progression is a steady climb. It'll be interesting to see what Hasbro does in terms of you know, engagement. You know, will we see the decal sheet tomorrow or in a couple days? Will we see some detail that we hadn't seen before? You know, what will we see next? Scott says it takes time to sell organs to pay for this thing. Fair enough. I suppose that's true. Tyler, do you think we might get a hidden tier? I don't see why not. You know, they haven't said these are the only unlocks. And like I said, they haven't said that, you know, we and like I kind of alluded to, it's not to say that, you know, the unlock couldn't be more than what they've mentioned, right? Like we may get more than a figure in an unlock tier. That might just be, you know, them sort of giving us numbers to kind of shoot for, in the sense that, like, you know, the funding goal is 10,000, but then the stretch goals are 13, you know, 16, 19. I like that we at least know where the goalposts are at the moment, so there's no confusion. But like I said, you know, it isn't to say that there couldn't be more going on. I also think that, you know, if we look at the Sky Striker, when the Sky Striker kind of when that curve that we looked at kind of leveled off, the Sky Striker got the Cobra sabotage thing happen, and I mean, who's to say that couldn't happen again? Maybe there's an interruption, right, that disrupts those tiers. Maybe there's sort of more that gets sort of added depending on sort of the, you know, how quickly everything else gets unlocked or whatever. We'll see. Tristan says we'll probably see the 16,000 unlocked by week's end. I mean, I want it to hit 10,000, and then I want it to have like a steady growth where, you know, that curve, you know, going back to this. So that's for like day one. But Brian Brink also did this one for like the full duration. So this is sort of the 42 days. You know, these are the light blue on the lower one is the Sky Striker. The dark blue on the top there is his tank. All these colored lines in the middle are the sort of the baselines for like the curve that it has to have. It's not a curve, it's a line rather than a curve. Obviously, you're looking at it, it's a line. So those are sort of the targets for where it has to be at it on any given day to realistically sort of make the goal. You know, the curve is already, you know, this oh, it's covered up. My bad. You know, looking at the graph, you know, just in terms of the first few days, right? We get this is day one. It's creeping up on on the His Tank. Destroyed the Sky Striker day one. Sky Striker day one was just over 3,000. The His Tank, I think, was 9,000 something, and we're already over 8,000. So it's not going to clear as quickly because it has to hit 10,000 rather than 8,000. But I could see it hitting 10,000 by, like I said, end of the day today, and then be, fully funded. And then, like I said, it's just a matter of, how much further can this thing go, and will they have to do anything to sort of push it along, right? Will they have to add to those tiers or not? We shall see. Michael says, people are having dinner. It'll ramp up again. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's, people got to wait for their wives to go to bed so that they don't get caught. Scott says, I already read that one. Sorry, my bad. I've fallen behind here a little bit, but let's see. Facebook user, I'm guessing that's Kevin, says, how are numbers progressing as compared to the Hiss? We just showed that. Oh, and you put your name on the end. Like an old person signing a text message. I love it. Thank you, Kevin. AI, is this on Brick site? No, this is on the geekdadlife.com website, as Michael alluded to there. I think Hasbro has a couple of things up their sleeves marketing wise. I think they now realize what they have is a gold mine with classified fans. I don't think it's evergreen. I don't think it's one of those things where they could keep going forever. Like, I don't think you could do a HasLab every 6 months and expect people to pay for it. It's not feasible. Which leads me into sort of the last thing I want to talk about, predictions. Where do we think this thing is going to land? How many units are going to be backed? I honestly don't know. I look at the stretch goals, and I genuinely think 19,000 is very feasible. When I sort of consider the His Tank, and I'll bring this back up. I keep bringing it down and putting it back up in reference to other things, but like when we look at what, well, now you can't see the numbers, so that doesn't help. When we look at what the His Tank did, right? By the end, the His Tank hit, 27,000. The Sky Striker hit 17 something, because I think 18 would have unlocked Ketchup and Mustard. Didn't quite get there, sadly. Rest in peace, Ketchup and Mustard. But I definitely think that the Dragonfly could hit 20,000. So it's kind of a matter of time, and I think to the point of, like, Hasbro having more going on behind the scenes in terms of marketing. I think they've got stuff that they could pull out if they needed to. I think that, like, I genuinely think that if you backed a His Tank, you're probably gonna back a Dragonfly. Now, I know that there's gonna be, the Venn diagram isn't gonna be, one circle superimposed on the other. There is gonna be, a crescent moon on the outside where people buy one or the other. But I think a lot of people that bought the His Tank are probably gonna buy a Dragonfly. And so I think that bodes well for the brand overall. Christian, I think Ketchup and Mustard are the two hidden figures. That would be cool. That would be funny. I don't know if it will be. I've heard a couple other people suggest that too. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, Alberto's here. What's going on, Alberto? Tristan, I had the live stream on the big TV today, and my wife walked in while I was watching them show off the Dragonfly. She just looked at me and said, "You're buying one, aren't you?" Yeah, I just don't watch them on my big TV. I'll watch the video, at the end of the month on the big TV, but not the beginning. Scott says that his guess is 22. I could see that. I think I'm right around there too. I go a little bit higher. I think it could go 24, and I just say that because wouldn't it be funny if, you know, in the teases and stuff they kept putting 24 in there, and wouldn't it be, you know, poetic if it hit 24,000 backers? I also like 24 because if we sort of look at the progression for the stretch goals, it's 13, 16, 19. No, I can't do math. Why can't I do math today? For some reason in my head, I thought 24 was one because I thought it was 18 and then it was 21 and then it was 24, but that's not right. So never mind, I take that back. I was gonna say, you know, we could potentially have 2 more stretch goals at the rate that they're doing stretch goals, but whatever. Man, I can't count in threes. I can't count X's. I can't. I'm just blowing it today. Couple more minutes. Okay, what you know? What do you guys think? Units wise and figure release wise, is there? Do you guys have predictions other than sort of what I mentioned for numbers? Do you guys have predictions for figures? Facebook user says just wanted to jump in and say, hey, Facebook user. I don't know who that is. It's not Kevin because he would have signed his name on the end. Tyler says 25,000 with a hidden tier at 22. Fill those money bags for Hasbro. I could see that. Yeah, I could see a 22,000 because I also hope, you know, in the same way that they've learned about pricing, in the same way that they've learned about sort of mapping out the stretch goals a little bit better. I think when the HIS didn't have another stretch goal, I think people were kind of like, you know, okay, there's more people. Like, do we get something else? So I'm kind of hoping that there is something in the bag, you know, that you know they can pull out if they need to. Facebook user is Larry. Thought I was signed. Sorry, it's Larry. Thought I was signed in. No worries, Larry. That's fine. Albetter says I got to check this HasLab because Dragonfly looks fly. It does. It looks really, really good. Christian McKinnon, Night Force Airborne would be cool. It would be cool. But here's my thing. You know, we're getting we're not getting it. If it unlocks, we're getting the Night Force Ripcord. You know, I could see there being a Tiger Force figure in here somewhere. Again, you know, a sub team that they're already doing, a redeco of a figure or a pre-paint, even a pre-paint, right? Like I said, hit and run could be like the European kind of Tiger Force, you know, orange helmet with the blue, like just a wild deco, but I would take it for sure. Now I hope it's another Night Force figure because I would prefer that over the Tiger Force because I'm not collecting the Tiger Force stuff, but that's just personal preference more than anything. But there it is. We're at an hour, so I'm going to wrap this up. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's just been a ton of fun to talk about this with people, you know, individually, you know, over chat and stuff like that today. But also just to chat with you guys, to just sort of see what you guys are thinking. Oh, hold on. What's going on? There we go. Jonathan, I had some friends say they don't feel as connected to this as they didn't have the OG toy compared to the HIS tank, which got so many toy re-releases. Do you think that will hurt the numbers? No, I don't. I don't, and I say that for a few reasons. One, this is a really, really cool toy. I think it's it's going to be popular regardless. I think the HIS tank, there was maybe more army builders as well. But the fact that this isn't competing against any other HasLabs, you know, I think bodes well. I think the timing is right. because this one comes out before the Star Wars one or the Marvel Legends one. So I think, you know, it kind of has an advantage in that respect. Will the numbers be affected by that? Yes, certainly. But like I said, I think a lot of people that'll buy the His Tank will probably err on the side of getting one of these. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I mean, that's the thing. I could be totally wrong. Loco Base Walker says, hey, it's Luke. I'm ecstatic. Helicopters was my favorite toy to play with as a child. Back to Happy Yojo June, everyone. Happy Yojo June to you as well. Yeah, I'm hyped for this, and I can't wait to see sort of what they reveal and sort of where they go from here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be talking about it a lot. Pretty much every Sunday, I'll probably be updating on my normal, regular Sunday show. And then at the end, you know, I may do sort of another. I may do another kind of thing at the end, but there's gonna, you know what, there's gonna be lots of those, and I'm doing at the end of June. I'm actually gonna have Chris from the Full Force podcast on June 25th, and we're gonna talk about sort of the month up to that point, which should be lots to talk about because there's still a bunch of stuff that's rumored to be released and so on and so forth. But anyway, we're at an hour. I'm gonna wrap this up. It's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you guys. You know, anybody that's chatting live, you know, I appreciate you, and I'm happy to have you here. It's way more fun when I've got sort of a back and forth, when I can read comments and sort of, you know, give answers and insights and so on and so forth. And that's what it's all about, right? It's about, you know, community and hanging out and sharing toys with friends. So thank you for being here. If you are watching on the replay and you couldn't make it, I appreciate you too. I absolutely do. If you're watching in the replay, please, you know, in the comments there, let me know how many units this thing will get back, and let me know if there's any figures that you think might be in the stretch goals, because I'm always curious what other people come up with, especially when I realize that I counted wrong, and I'm probably wrong, but we shall see. As I said, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys all for joining me. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, feel free to hit the thumbs down. I'm cool with that too. Subscribe to the channel if you could. I really appreciate it. And it feels good to my ego, and it feels validated for doing these videos. If people care, if people are watching. If you want to be notified about future videos, hit that notification bell as well. For ones like this where I kind of posted only a couple hours before, and it's not as planned and it's not as well executed. But anyways, on that note, it's been fun, and I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye-bye.